That's actually, no, that's not a bad question. That's a reasonable one. How do you handle technical debt in the product backlog? I mean, I prefer not to, I'll be honest. So for those of you who may not have come across the term, technical debt is simply all that stuff that as a team you should have done, but you didn't. So all the shortcuts, all the copying and pasting, all the things that aren't to the standard that you profess to have. Okay? And over time, that compounds. Debt grows, problems start cropping up, and we need to deal with it. We need to tackle it. So how do we deal with that with the backlog? Well, first of all, I would rather you didn't. I would rather take what the technical debt growing is telling you, and that is you're going too fast, and slow down. Okay? That's the simplest solution. If you're in a place where you can still keep moving forward, making good progress on your product, on your service, on whatever that solution is, do that. But slow down. Slow down to a pace where you can do everything to the right quality. That definition of done in the Scrum world. Okay? What you can now do is any new thing that you work on, you can build up to that quality to start with. And anything that you're coming back to, the bugs, the changes, the whatever, you can build up to that definition of done. So all the new things are the right quality. All the things that you've had to revisit for whatever reason are brought up to the right quality. Your technical debt is going to improve. Okay? All the things you don't touch, well, they were good enough to whatever standard that was. And if there ever is a problem, you're going to, as a team, bring it up to that quality standard you've agreed, because that is how we work here. And you're going to be, as a team, really clear. This is our standard. That's a much better way. Yes, you've slowed down a bit, but this is investment. This is actually, no, you have slowed down a bit and it's the right thing to do. I'm going to stop being nice about that. You were going too fast. You were running down a hill hoping that you didn't fall over. Well, guess what? You fell over. You don't just stand up and go at the same pace again. Pay attention. Work out why you fell over. You're not doing the job you're saying you're doing. Help. Work on it. Improve. You will speed up again once you've broken the back of the technical debt, once you've made significant changes to your system and those issues don't keep popping up. The bad parts of your code base or your product no longer exist. Okay? Now, that's how personally I would rather you tackle technical debt. But if you're going to put it on your backlog, it's simply a backlog item. Okay? Recognize it. Place it on the backlog. Discuss it with the product owner. Okay, we want to improve this part of the system for these reasons. At this point, I actually find the debt metaphor to be incredibly useful, because very often technical debt is highly technical by its nature, and your product owners aren't necessarily. So explaining to them how it's going to impact your static analysis, and it's not going to help them at all. They have no idea how valuable that is to them. And how could they? That's not their job. That's your developer's job. So instead, as a Scrum Master, I will invite developers into putting it on a scale of debt. Okay. Are we talking about a mortgage? Low APR. We very often have a mortgage for decades. We're going to be making payments. Of course it's costing us money because we're paying interest on that, and we will ultimately pay a lot of money if we don't pay it down. Okay. But we can get by. It's not the most urgent debt to deal with. You've got secured loans, you lose your house if you don't pay it, so you make sure you pay the bill, same way as a mortgage. Slightly higher APR, slightly smaller sums. And through these we go to credit card debt, to payday loans. Okay? Ridiculously high APR. You want to make sure that it is paid as soon as possible. I found that metaphor to be incredibly useful for working with product owners and people elsewhere in the organisation to help them understand, what are we dealing with here? Right? Is it a mortgage debt? Are we, you know what? Yeah, we're going to pay interest on it, but it's not as important as the value we're chasing for the customer. That new feature, that new idea is more important. I'll pay the interest. Okay? Or is it a credit card? We all know we're meant to clear our credit cards every month, and I'm sure, like me, you do most of the time. But occasionally you put the holiday on it and you think, that's a bit much, and it rolls over for a month or two. You know you're going to pay interest, and you know that you're going to clear it soon. but you also know it's not going to cripple you? Or is it a payday loan? Is it something that if it isn't resolved now, actually is going to grind everything to a halt? It's going to be so expensive to deal with that you're going to end up in a really bad place incredibly quickly. Together as a team, product owner and developers, and you there as the Scrum Master, are going to be working through this conversation, building trust. And it is a key part here. The product owner has to trust your developers that when they say something is expensive in terms of interest, is more towards that payday loan, that it actually is. It's not just something that's annoying them. And as they build that trust, because of course they're open, they're honest in these conversations, it becomes much easier for a product owner to place those in the right place, the right order on that backlog. Okay? So you can take a technical debt item and put it on the product backlog. Okay? Scrum doesn't stop you doing that. I would advise try some other things first. But if you have to, sometimes we do, one answer is rarely sufficient for anything. Sometimes it has to go on. Make sure you've had that discussion with the product owner so they can order it against all the other work. Is it absolutely vital and is it going to pop up at the top? Or is it something the developers really want to do? But actually, towards the product, it's not that important and therefore it's going to slide down that backlog. It'll depend. It honestly will. But as a Scrum Master, ensure they're having open, honest conversations, that you're working with them to build trust in each other, demonstrating that it is possible that they can work together, and over time they're going to work out what works best for them. If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.